Hey everyone, and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. I'm Justin, and my candy of choice is actually Smarties. The Trinidad version. The American version sucks ass.
What's the difference?
It's a completely different candy.
Oh, all right, true shit. I'm Nico, and I'm Beco. You know, like with bees. I'm made of bees this episode.
I see.
Well, I'm Dan, and I'm not myself when I'm hungry.
And we are here today to discuss Candyman, the 2021 version. So this was written and directed by Nia DaCosta, starring Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as Anthony, Tiana Paris as Brianna, Coleman Domingo as William, Michael Hargrove as Sherman Fields / the Candyman version of him, Nathan Stewart Jarrett as Troy, and of course, Tony Todd as Daniel Robatille, also the OG Candyman. So this movie opens in 1977 with a young boy named William Burke heading to a laundromat. Or not really a laundromat, I guess a laundry basement. Whatever. He runs into a man named Sherman Fields, who is wanted as a suspect for slipping razor blades into candy that he hands out to children. William screams, which attracts the attention of the police, who extrajudicially murder Sherman. We then jump to the present day with artist Anthony McCoy and his girlfriend Brianna, who works as the gallery director. After receiving some criticism from one of Brianna's collaborators, Anthony heads out to the Cabrini Green projects looking for inspiration, and he runs into William, now a middle-aged man. So how does their conversation go, Dan?
Well, a little weird at first, but William tells Anthony about his past, as well as the fact that they eventually discovered that Sherman was actually totally innocent. He continues to tell Anthony about the legend of the Candyman, and if you say it 5 times in a mirror, the Candyman will show up. Anthony doesn't take it seriously, and he does exactly that. Later, at one of Brianna's art shows, Anthony's work is panned by an art critic. He leaves, and the Candyman ends up killing Brianna's coworker, and she discovers the body the following morning.
That can't be easy, but how are things going for Anthony, Nico?
So Anthony gets stung by a bee, and it begins to transform his hand. Gets like kind of stabby at first, and then it gets just like way the fuck worse really quickly. Yeah. And his behavior becomes really erratic following that. So at this point, he learns about a woman named Helen Lyle, who was the protagonist of the first movie, in case you're following along. And an art critic is killed after Anthony visits her. After he visits the art critic, not Helen Lyle, to be clear. And Anthony meets up with Willem again. Excuse me, William, not Willem. I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring.
Spoilers, but William is Dafoe, so Willem could work.
I don't know what the handshot
Nico hit the robot. Nico hit the robot to try and oh no.
Anyway, Anthony meets up with William again, and he tells him that the Candyman isn't just one person, but that he is a hive of black men who have been wronged just systematically over multiple generations, all the way back to 1890. And Anthony goes, even more back then because, slavery. But anyway, Anthony goes to see his mom, who then tells him the real story of Helen Lyle and how she saved him when he was a baby. Anthony and Brianna then have a fight, and in an attempt to find him, she goes to William's laundromat, where she is, promptly kidnapped.
Well, that doesn't look great, but Dan, how's this one end?
Doesn't look great in the ending either.
Oh.
Brianna wakes up in the old church in Cabrini Green along with Anthony and William. William saws off Anthony's hand and attaches a hook, just like the Candyman lore. He calls the cops, saying that Anthony is killing people, and Brianna escapes with William in hot pursuit. Brianna kills William, and Anthony shows up, bleeding out. The cops bust in and kill Anthony and arrest Brianna. One of the police officers tries to get Brianna to corroborate a false narrative under the threat of arrest, but she summons the Candyman and murders the fuck out of all the cops. Candyman does. The Candyman tells Brianna to tell everyone what she saw. Now the credits roll with a puppet show depicting the murders of the members of the Candyman Hive, including the real-life murders of James Byrd Jr., Anthony Crawford, and George Stinney. The end.
Oof.
Well, we got a lot to discuss here, so let's get started, shall we? Dan, how's this movie look to you?
So this is going to be part 1 of Dan gushing about this movie.
Okay.
Ooh.
Because I fucking loved how the cinematography, I fucking loved it. There were a lot of really, really cool shots. Just like I remember there's one scene where I think it's in like Anthony and Brianna's apartment and you see like them through the door. So most of the screen is filled with just like black wall, and then you see stuff through the door. One character, the art critic, gets murdered as the camera is like panned out, like far out, like a block away, and you can see her through like the windows and everything. The whole wall is windows, and you see her kind of get murdered, but it's like way back in the background, and you like almost kind of miss it, but you don't. There's just a lot of really cool shots. So there's a whole scene where he's in an elevator, and the whole elevator is mirrors, and I mean, you know, shit's gonna happen because the whole movie's about seeing the Candyman in mirrors. But I really, really, really loved how this one looked.
Bro, imagine if he'd like summoned the Candyman in that joint with all the different reflections. He might have summoned like 6 Candymen, bro.
I was just gonna say, would it be multiple Candymen or just one?
I don't know. If you're like looking in multiple mirrors.
Would they like maybe it's the different iterations of him, and then they all just duke
It's
it
like
out?
Organization 13, but
Oh,
with
no.
Candyman.
I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't even know.
It's Zandy Man.
But I agree with you, Dan. I also really liked the way the movie looked. In particular, I was very confused at there's the scene where Anthony's kind of art is panned by a critic, the same one who dies. But his shit looked cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Like
It really did.
you opened it up and like it was like a window and you could see through it, and he was explaining like it was like a multi-generational kind of piece and whatever like that, and the critic basically blew him off. And
she said, like, oh, yeah, you people are the ones who are
Yeah.
ruining the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was just like, bitch, what? Oh my god. I love the little fucking digs in this movie. Like, the one critic, I forget what it was exactly, the conversation they were having, but it was one who died shortly into the movie. And there was
he
some,
was like the
moment.
gallery. He like ran the gallery or something.
Yeah,
like
there,
that.
there was some moment where Anthony told him off in the end, and he was like, "Oh, you've been sitting on that one for a while, haven't you?" He's like, "Yep, have for sure. Fuck you, bitch."
Yeah.
It was that movie that was like a little. It was
That's all, folks.
it was very comical because he was like, "Oh, you've been stocking up on morning after pills for your interns," and then he was like, "Oh, you didn't. That wasn't off the top. You had that one for a while." And then the girl, the intern turns to him and she's like, "It's okay. I'm on the Nuvo ring," and I was like, "Bruh, it's not 100% effective." But no, so I like it. I liked the way it looked, and I also really, really enjoyed kind of the transformation of Anthony to become more like from that bite, like that bite, how it just kind of like festered and grew, and like it didn't just affect his hand, it also like affected like the whole side of his body and his face and everything else like that.
Yeah.
So I really dug that visual transformation, and then it was pretty brutal when the dude just sawed his hand off to give him the hook.
Yeah, that was
Mhm.
fucked.
So
Ugh. That was hard to watch.
I really liked how that looked as well. Nico, anything you have to add?
No, just to particularly highlight what Dan said, I love whenever a movie does something really cool with mirrors, and this movie checks that box in the best possible way. Oh, and I guess just to put this in the, how's it look? Man, I gotta say, Tiana Paris, you fine as fuck! Oh my god!
Who?
Sorry. Tiana Paris, Brianna.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I was thinking
mean-
that was a character in the movie. I was like, who was Tiana? But
But
Nah,
anyway.
nah.
Moving on.
They
Sorry to fuck up your whole train of thought here. It's true though, she is.
Yeah,
Oh no,
it's-
that wasn't what I was about to
100%
say,
facts.
bruh. My boy,
Yeah.
Nah, listen, my boy Anthony, clearly they were like, yo, bro, do some pushes real quick for your shirtless
Yo.
scene.
Yeah,
'Cause
right.
this man
Yaya
was like-
Abdul can get it too. Shit.
Well, listen, no, he was pumped up, but then in the second shot for the bathroom scene where he was like brushing his teeth,
Yeah.
dude would do it's a matter of lighting and everything else like that. But dude clearly had a pump in the first scene and did not have a pump in that second scene, and it was
Yeah.
very obvious. I was like, all right, bro, I see you, bro, I see you. You just did like mad push-ups and whatnot before. I got you, bro. But sonically, Nico, what do you think about just the general sounds and stuff in the movie?
I have nothing but positives to say about that as well. I think that the dialogue in this one, like I was saying earlier about like kind of the subtle digs that people have and stuff, just like the way that it was written and the way the characters sound interacting with each other, it is so natural. None of it is forced, and all of it just sounds convincingly terrifying once shit gets real. Like you could sort of hear the little moment when that art critic was like starting to realize that something was really wrong once Anthony like realizes that, oh shit, she's going in the bathroom to summon the Candyman, and he just like dips out. He's like, I gotta go, and you can hear the like sudden twist once she's like talking. Like, what? And then there's that scene where, like Dan was saying, she's just like plastered along a skyline view for the entire block to see, just a trail of blood. So I really, really like the way this sounds. There isn't really too much else to say, I think, in terms of like motifs and stuff, but it sounds good as a whole package.
True. Dan, how about you in terms of the sounds?
It's part two of me gushing about this movie,
Hell
but
yes!
I also fucking love the soundtrack. It just really did a good job of like drawing me into it, and just there's one, I guess, motif. I don't really know how to describe it, but it it's sort of like that dark, mysterious kind of soundtrack to it, and it just really drew me into the movie, and it like the soundtrack just made me pay attention to the movie, and I really really enjoyed that. And like Nico was saying, I really like the dialogue, especially like near the beginning of the movie when Troy and Anthony and Brianna and them are hanging out. Like I feel like a lot of that was fairly natural,
Mhm.
and it all just worked quite well for me.
All right. All right. All right. So now I want to go ahead and really get down to stuff here. So, first off, this movie is a direct sequel to the original Candyman joint, but it it doesn't really mention or take into account any of the other sequels that kind of happened. So, just between this movie and the first one, you know, we kind of see the main character, Anthony, or one of the main characters, I should say, learning the story of, you know, Helen and everything else like that. And then he ends up learning the ultimate truth from his mother and everything else like that. So this movie kind of sort of recaps a lot of the highlights from the first movie. Nico, what were your thoughts as far as that went? And did you think it necessary?
I loved it, and I thought it was honestly like I'm really glad they did it because it further emphasizes the factor of this whole just sort of the central thesis of the movie of this being a sort of like manifestation of generational trauma and like being part of what the Candyman is. And I think the fact that they actually reckoned with what the previous generation had done with this idea, and with this cast, we have the actual, well, like some of the original cast returning. We've got, you know, obviously Tony Todd as the original Candyman.
Obviously.
We have Vanessa Williams playing Anthony's mother. We have Virginia Madsen, you know, excerpts as Helen Lyle, and just seeing the fact that they did something that was, I think, a successful work of intertextual sort of like a metafiction that was much more satisfying than a bunch of the other sort of like slashers that we've seen recently, where it's like, you know, oh, it's Friday the 13th again. We're gonna have a goofy fucking intro about what happened that's totally unnecessary. But like this one, I think they really did a damn near perfect job of encapsulating that story as part of the package of the new one.
So I'm going to offer a dissenting opinion here.
Okay, okay.
I think that they spent too much time on that for my liking personally.
Okay.
I think that so for me, and this is, I'll talk about it more later, but for me, probably one of my bigger issues with the movie was its pacing and how
Really?
in certain aspects the plot went. And I think that, so for anyone who saw the original movie, you know the real story already. So given that, a lot of this movie, like a pretty significant amount of its runtime, was dedicated to a retelling, but it wasn't even like, oh, you thought this was the truth, but this is the actual truth. Like, no, that's not what happened. It was just, oh, by the way, like it was like filling it in. And I see your point about generational trauma and whatnot, but they could have, I'm not saying they needed to cut like all of it. They could have still had some of it. But I just think personally for me, it was a little bit too much time dedicated to that portion of it, when to me, I would have wanted to see more of other things in this movie as opposed to just that. But now we have an opinion from someone who did not see the OG. So Dan, in your thought process, what was this like for you?
I actually enjoyed it because I can totally see your point on that, Justin. I feel like if I had seen the original, I might agree with you. But I feel like it did a good job of it never felt like they were telling me the story of the original. Like it never felt like they were just like, hey, here's the first story plot line. Now let's move on to our movie. Like it, to me, it felt organic and it felt like, oh, this is just
I agree.
just backstory of this movie kind of thing, of this, legend, if you will. And I thought it was done pretty well. And then in fact, I didn't even realize that was the original story until like near the end of the movie. I was kind of like, oh, that's probably, the original storyline. And yeah, it definitely is. But I actually kind of liked it personally.
Mm-hmm. So who's right? No one decides. So I want to talk now about some of the themes of this movie. This movie has much themes.
Benny.
But before we get started on the much themes of this movie wears, its themes on its sleeve. Yes, there's obviously things hidden underneath, but a lot of things are just right there, front and center for you to see. Now, I believe that's that's an artistic decision. Nico, do you believe you can offer an insight as to why that might be?
Honestly, I just think it's refreshing that it's so upfront about it. We have the character of William, who serves both as somewhat of a exposition slash backstory provider insofar as he's getting Anthony caught up on the lore and all of that. But I think that it's something where I'm trying to think of a way to say this. Like, I appreciate the fact that they don't fuck around with what Candyman is, and they say very clearly, like, this is a manifestation of generations and generations of trauma specifically directed at Black folks from the jump. So, like, I feel like part of it almost resists interpretation just because of how clear it is. Like, I don't think you could necessarily put that many different lenses on this. I mean, I could be wrong,
So I think you are, because
of course.
I think that, so even when it comes down to the interpretation of what Candyman is, I mean,
Mhm.
he's different things to different people almost.
Certainly.
That's why I say like it's open to interpretation, because you have
I mean, like, on an interpersonal level, sure, yeah. I'm just saying over time, generationally.
Well, no, what I'm saying is this, because you have Anthony's mom, who for her, Candyman is something to never be spoken of ever again.
Right.
Like,
I mean, understandably.
So that's the first bit. Then you have William, who wants to weaponize Candyman, and he wants to strike back at the people. And that's his whole point in wanting to kind of make another generation of, Candyman through Anthony and strike back that way. And there's a very real element to what he wants to do in that regard. And then you have the people Helen spoke to, and to your point, Nico, those people use Candyman as basically like, and William himself says it earlier on in the movie as well, that Candyman is basically a way for, when something happens, it's a way for the, that specific neighborhood or project to interpret and come to grips and terms with what's going on and analyze it through that context.
Yeah.
So I think there's like several different ways you can look at it. But Dan, any other themes in this movie? There's some pretty major ones that we haven't talked on quite as yet.
Yeah, but I also want to mention real quick that I actually really like what you said. I didn't really think about that until you said it, but about how William sort of weaponizes it. Anthony's mom kind of wants to move past it and not talk about it. I think, those are, I don't know that you quite clearly stated this so much as kind of talked about it, but like those are also responses to,
Trauma.
you know, fucked up shit that happens.
Yeah,
And
absolutely, yeah.
everything. So, and I think that's a really cool. I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah, it's fair.
But I mean, you know, obviously this movie talks about a lot of the fucked up shit that white people do to black people, specifically, you know, and other minorities as well. But one thing that I also really like too is, you know, sort of I don't quite want to say tagline, but one of the things this movie is like, say his name. You know, they keep saying that. And that's also one of the things that people say with the Black Lives Matter movements and all the unnecessary killings and everything that have been happening. Like, you know, say his name. Like, don't forget this person. You know, say their name. And I think that's a really sort of poignant, I
Yeah.
guess, you know, phrase involved in this movie and the time that we live in. So I thought that was pretty cool.
There's a definite power in like recognizing the personhood and just the power of names.
Right.
That alongside, I love how Anthony was just taunting people repeatedly throughout the movie, like, do it, say his name, motherfucker,
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah, right.
So, and I want to follow up on exactly what you've just said there, Nico. But first, obviously, I think probably the second, and it goes hand in hand with this, obviously, but one of the biggest other sides of it is just general gentrification.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
kind
yeah,
of
of course.
how that works, and like the last part obviously being like police brutality as well and everything else like that. Like those were, I think, were some of the more so major themes. I also thought it was really interesting how there's the art critic lady and how she was like, and even the other dude to a certain extent, when Anthony was doing stuff that was, you know, racial and whatnot in terms of like his art, like he was trying to show some stuff and they were like, oh, that's played out now. That's, you know, that was the flavor of the month, you know, like 2 years ago, but this is not what we're looking for anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the lady, the art critic, in a way, she struck me as kind of like a pantomime villain almost.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, yes, she was, but the attitude still exists in terms of like people being like, oh, like, because I mean, for example, that was the reaction to, so Jordan Peele, he has a writing credit in this movie. I don't know to what extent he wrote. I know this was, again, Nia DaCosta's movie.
He helped write the screenplay.
He's the producer as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, you know, like how much of the writing was broken up between him and Nia, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But in terms of his movie, Get Out, you know, I remember when that movie came out, there was a lot of response of like, oh, yawn, let me guess, black dude in a white neighborhood, da-da-da-da-da. Like, you had a lot of people who basically minimalized the movie and minimized it without ever actually watching it or giving it a shot or anything else like that. And that's kind of sort of what happened to Anthony when there was that whole thing with the critic as well. So
Yeah.
I thought that
Yeah.
that was even if it's not like something that Jordan Peele himself directly put in there, that's kind of what happened to him.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is white folks' MO, especially like art critics and people who are, you know, in the like art space to monetize and take advantage of black pain. Like that's what happens. So, not that you need me to tell you that, but just it happened in the movie, you get me?
I'm glad that you brought up Jordan Peele as well, because, you know, him and Nia and the writing team and whoever else, I think that they did a really good job of, again, this movie kind of wears its themes and everything on its sleeve, but does it very well. And I think Jordan Peele's a master at doing that,
Agreed.
because we've also seen other movies, like, I mean, I think we talked about in the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre that, like,
yeah,
you know, they kind of hit on, I don't quite want to say similar themes, but a little bit, sort of, but they didn't do it very well, and it
Not at
just
all.
didn't work. And in this movie, and in most of Jordan, I've seen a few of his movies, not all of them, but like he does a really, really good job of being very open, and I don't quite want to say abrasive because that's like negative, but like you clearly know what this movie's about,
Mhm.
but it's not too much, and it doesn't beat you over the head too much with it, you know?
but I want to follow up real quick. Why do you think it's so important to, when, for example, when the Candyman's like, tell everybody what you saw? Why is that so important to him specifically that his legend go on? Now, for me, I have my answer already. I didn't come to my conclusion until I saw the end, the very end of the movie. But do you guys have any thoughts on that as to why that's like Candyman's whole thing? He really is hell bent on making sure his legacy and his legend and that of the Hive lives on.
I think part of it has, and probably a large part of it has to do with just the way that a lot of minority voices get uplifted through just actual word of mouth, and specifically like thinking back to various tragedies. We wouldn't know about so many different people that we've lost in police brutality tragedies if it not for the people who spoke out about them. And I think the fact that he emphasizes almost like a combination of oral tradition alongside just making sure people know is both a reference to that sort of almost grassroots, I don't want to say like activism, but just like being in the know, I guess, maybe.
Dan, what's your take on that?
Yeah, pretty similar. I mean, I think it's mostly to me about remembering that, hey, I didn't do this shit and I was killed wrongly, and in the movie they even talk about once or twice they mention why is like Helen Lyle is so well known, but like she's the white person, but all the wronged black people are forgotten. Why does she get all the attention and we don't? And I think him saying like, remember me, tell everybody, I think is the response to that of don't forget this shit, make sure that everyone knows what's happening here. And especially at the end when the cop is telling Brianna like, okay, you have two choices. Either you're an accomplice to this or, you lie and we make up this false narrative and shit, and I think that sort of exemplifies why he wants everyone to know him and remember.
I agree with everything you guys say, and I'm largely in tune with what you guys say. I think for me, what really made it is I looked into, because I did not know off the top of my head, when they showed the real life murders, I was like, wait a second, like, what are these puppets depicting? And then I went and looked it up, and I was like, oh shit. And I think I looked at it from the perspective of ghosts go away when they find peace. But there's no peace for these ghosts. There's no peace for these spirits because this is still happening, which is the point of the movie. That like there's always something to happen. There's always something going on. And I mean, realistically speaking, like the Hive, for that's what they call it, they refer to, of Candyman is, again, it's black men who have been wronged, but realistically that Hive could be much bigger. much bigger. So that's why I'm saying, like, I think it's one of those things where it's important, like you guys said, because it's important that you don't forget how long this has been going on for, and it's important that you don't forget like the entire backstory or history before somebody tries to change it, before somebody tries to be like, oh, like that's not real, like that's not what happened, because
like the cop in that scene.
Yeah, because you can't always trust what had been written down in books. You can't always trust these things. Sometimes all you could trust is
the people who were there,
the word of mouth from people who'd been there and the people who had seen it and the people who carried on the stories.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one thing. And kind of my last question about the Candyman Hive in general, how would you categorize the Force? Good, evil, neutral? How would you categorize the Force if you had to pick one of those?
Good.
I would say justifiably evil. Like, I mean, I think it's a bad thing because they're killing people. Just whoever says their name, they're killing people. Like, there's no...
Okay, yeah, I know that's bad.
Yeah, bro, you very smugly said good, and like you completely forgot about William's sister who got murdered, death killed.
Or the high school girls.
Go on, Dan.
But I mean, like, for all the reasons that we recently just talked about, like, it's understandable why he's angry and, revenge and everything, but like, it's still evil, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think if Candyman's actions were a little more targeted, I might have a stronger argument for neutral, maybe even edging into good.
Mhm.
But
They are targeted, though. It's only the people who say his name.
yeah, but those people could be good or bad. Like, I mean, like, if you only,
Don't say his fucking name.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't spoil the what would you do now. But, I mean, all I'm going to say is, like, the fact that he had killed really innocent people, the Hive, I would be like, nah, that, like, you're now evil. Like, again, like, the backstory is one thing, but look at how terrified the community was of him.
That's true.
That they all swore to, like, never speak his name again.
Mm.
So, yeah. But that being said, it's going to be a very short what would you do. In fact, it's the first ever what would you had do.
Come again?
So,
Maybe what would we have done?
Nope.
when you were younger, have you ever said Candyman in the mirror 5 times?
Fuck no.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Yeah,
or
we just haven't.
Beetlejuice or any of the other ones out there. Fuck no.
Because I mean, I have not either, because you already know me. I'm not about that life. Okay. Well, I guess that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
I was hoping to interrogate, Nico or something. You know what I mean? Like, maybe
I'm not doing that shit.
maybe the whiteness got the best of you one time, and you were just like, you know what? I'm gonna go explore this ghost.
Mm-mm.
Fair enough. I should have known better. Fair enough. So let's get to the critic review. And where do you think this movie ranks on Rotten Tomatoes?
Very high. Very, very high.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to say it's a 89.
Okay, Nico, where you at with it?
I'm gonna say it's a. Yeah, I'm gonna say 89 as well. That sounds
No,
good.
you got to pick something else. Come on, pick something else.
That's a suspicious reaction. I'm gonna double down and say 89.
Nah, pick something else. Come on, please, or I'm gonna round you up.
Okay, 88, motherfucker.
Fuck off. Fuck you. You win, bitch. Happy fucking Christmas. It's an 84 from the critics on Rotten Tomatoes. I hope you feel proud. I hope you feel proud for fucking stealing Dan's victory once again.
Yeah,
I
fuck
do.
you.
I do.
Fuck
feel
you, Nico.
proud.
It's an
I'm not-
84%
I'm
from
not
critics
mad.
on Rotten
I'm not
Tomatoes.
mad.
It's a 72% from the audience. The audience did not like it quite as much as the critics. But I want to get your opinion on it. Where would you rank this movie? And if you just give a brief summation of your thoughts as they were.
I'm gonna give this a 93, and that's all I'm gonna say because I feel like I would do a disservice saying anything other than just go fucking watch it. Also, real quick, IMDb has this like a 5.9. Are y'all okay?
Is that just users?
I don't know. All I'm saying is like when I went to Prime to look it up, like this is sitting at it wasn't a passing grade, my guy. But yeah, it's 93. Go fucking watch it. It's incredible.
Oh, that's nutso.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 94. I really fuck with this movie, as you could probably tell. It's not perfect. I think near the end when like Brianna gets captured and the shit really starts going down, there were a few like plot things that I was a little wary about. Like I don't really know how Brianna summoned him to kill other people. I thought if you summon him,
Is that his name?
yeah, but I thought he kills you, not other people.
Yeah, that's why he left the girl alone in the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like that kind of goes against the rules of Candyman that they've set out in the whole movie.
Maybe it's because they were like in love previously. He spared her. I don't know.
The power of love.
I mean, hey,
Maybe, I mean, could be, but
Riku.
That wasn't even him though. I mean, it was shown that was
Right, it was Sora. We know.
the OG,
That was-
the OG joint.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, so there's a couple like plot things that I'm a little on, but overall, like the again the cinematography, the sound, and then of course the themes and everything far outweigh the issues that I have.
Yeah, I mean, I'm largely in agreement with you guys. This one's, for me personally, this one's at an 88 for me. I really, really like it. I have my issues with the plot, and I have my issues, namely the retreading of the OG. And I have one or two, I'm like, you probably could have paced this out a little bit better. I would have wanted more from this direction. I thought the cast did a really, really, really good job.
Yeah.
It was a very pleasant surprise to see Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who I also knew from The Get Down. So it's crazy the
Who did he play in The Get
discrepancy.
Down?
He was in The Get Down, yeah.
Ooh, do you know?
I'm pretty sure he was. Oh shit, I forget his fucking name.
Was he get or was he down?
He was the dude working for the lady. I'm pretty sure he was.
Ah, the dude working for the lady. Yeah.
Nah,
With the get down.
Nico, you never saw the Get Down. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it was the dude with the lady. What are you talking about? With the scene.
Shut the fuck up.
I think I know what you're talking about, though. But anyways, moving on.
Yeah, exactly. He was Cadillac. So, nevertheless.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So,
They have some cars named after him now, too.
Yeah.
Really, really, really like the movie, though, aside from those those kind of quibbles I have. And just as like a note, I really back this movie because I said it in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that I do not mind social themes being woven into horror. Social themes have been woven into horror for literally like decades. So like it's not a problem for me. My only problem is when the weaving of the tapestry is substandard, like I thought it was in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's really my own problem. Those
woke SJWs ruined Texas Chainsaw for the rest of us.
Bro, fucking Tesla ruined Texas Chainsaw Massacre with that driveway scene
Yeah.
at the end. That's who ruined Texas Chainsaw
so
Massacre.
Funny.
But
I think you mean saved Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
regardless, let's not stay in this movie with that movie.
Yeah, fair.
So
fair.
I'm also just like really fucking excited. Can I just say that as well? Just like real fucking quick. Because I mean, not to like throw people's ages out there like that, but Nia DaCosta's 32 right now, bro. So she was even younger when she fucking like did Candyman. So I'm just over here like, yo, like I know Jordan Peele is like older than her, but like this kind of like really vibrant horror coming from these up and coming directors is like really fucking dope to see.
Yeah.
So that's my thought. Well, it's time to roll the dice. Is this gets a recommendation from everybody, right?
Absolutely.
Emphatically.
Agreed. Does this get the golden seal from you guys?
Yes.
Yes. I know you're doing this for suspense.
Yes, but it's like right on the edge for me. But it is a yes.
That's fair.
So, hold up. Stamp. Oh, shit. Stamp, seal of... Something came flying out my desk.
What were you looking for? Did you drop your hand?
Bruh, this came flying out my desk. I don't know. Oh, this is the... Oh, we good. We good. So anyways, that was the stamp of approval. And this is going to get the golden seal. First one in a minute for us to get the golden seal of approval. But that's okay. Now, if you have commentary on the movie, if you want to talk to us about the themes, if you think we're wrong, fuck you. But go ahead, hit us up.
And if your name is Tiana Paris, hit me up. I got you, girl.
Shoot your shot, Nico. Shoot your shot. So we're on Twitter and Instagram at DOTD Horror. We're also on Facebook. Don't open that door. Plus, you can catch every episode we've ever done on our website. That's dotdhorror.com. And, you know, you can always recommend us a movie that you guys like as well. You know, definitely, you know, keep us on the radar if anything happening in the scene. But till then, take care of yourselves. Keep your shooting of shots to 10 seconds. And as always, dear listener, don't open that door.
I'm here, girl.
Bye.